Okay, let's move on to step number 4 in your lifetime referral systems. Now what we want to do is we want to grow, we want to measure, and we want to monetize the system. So first of all, if you had 100 people in your database, what we know as a company, you can get a minimum of a 15% return on your database. That means if you have 100 people in your database, that can be responsible for 15 transactions. That's what I mean by 15% return. Now, that doesn't mean that 15 people of the 100 did business with you, but what it means is somehow, some way, those 100 people in the database were responsible for 15 transactions. Some was repeat business from your database. Others were referral that they sent you. Maybe you listed somebody's house from your database and they bought a house off you as well. It just means a 15% return. And see, what's really cool is when we track our past, we now can better predict our future. So remember I said, imagine moving into January, knowing you're going to have 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions, whatever the number happens to be. Now, most people in our coaching program today are getting in excess of a 20% return. But we know you can get 15, so what I'm doing is I'm starting very, very small. So first of all, to monetize and to grow this, what if you added one person per week to your database? That means you add roughly 50 people per year. Now, if you added 50 people per year to your database and you're getting a 15% return, that's 8 deals per year that you're going to grow your business by. So if you're already getting 20 transactions from your database, you add one person every week, you're now up to 28 transactions, and that's based on a 15% return. And you might say, where do I get these people? Well, I'm going to tell you a story. You always need to be looking for advocates. So I was standing in the dry cleaners. This is many years ago, but this is how simple it is. I was standing in the dry cleaners, and I've been going to this dry cleaner for a number of years. The owner happened to be there. He was serving me. And I looked at him and I said, do you have a real estate agent that you're loyal to? And he said, well, no, not really. I said, well, if you were to buy or sell real estate, who would you choose? He goes, geez, I really don't know. He said, a lot of real estate agents come in here, but he said, you're asking, so I'd consider you. He looked at me and I said, that's great. And then I went on and I started to tell him about my system. Remember, educate, qualify, get permission to communicate. And I roughly went through that script with him. I told him about my systems, about my newsletters, about all the things that I do. And of course, he's going, boy, that all sounds great. He says, put me on the list. Now, in that moment, I added one person to my database. But listen to what happened. I went away on a holiday and I came back and I had a voicemail, and this is, quite a while ago, and it was Richard, and that was his name, the guy at the dry cleaner. He said, hey, Rich, it's Richard over the dry cleaners. Give me a call. I got one for you. That's exactly what he said. And I called him up, and he had somebody that he had met who was thinking of selling and didn't have an agent. He recommended me. Why? Because I brought it up that day in the dry cleaner. So all of a sudden now, he's looking for people that are interested in buying or selling real estate because he wants to help me in my business because I'm working in his business. So all day long when you're out there, like one person per week can't be hard. Everybody you're meeting, you need to be having that conversation with them. And if you grow your database by whatever number, times that by 15%, and you know how many deals your business is going to grow by. Now let's look at the value of one advocate. Let's look at the value of one advocate in your database. I just want to dollarize this for you so you can understand the power, of this system. If you had 100 people in your database, I'm just going to pick round numbers, and let's say you're getting a 15% return, which I already talked about, that's the minimum you should get. That's 15 transactions per year. If you're doing 15 transactions, and let's say your average commission is $10,000. I'm using round numbers, I understand, but I'm not good at math. But anyway, let's say it was $10,000. That means those 100 people in your database are earning you $150,000 per year. Pretty good, right? $150,000 per year, and that's 100 advocates. You had 50 advocates, that's $75,000 per year. That is way above the average income, I think you would agree. But let's go back to the 115%. That's $150,000 per year. If you have 100 people in your database, what is every advocate worth? $1,500. Are you with me there? That means 150,000 divided by your 100, right? That means each person is worth $1,500. Now, yeah, there's some didn't do business with you, some didn't refer business to you, but that tells me the value of every single person in that database is $1,500. So if the value of every person in that database is $1,500, then should I be making an investment in them? Now, here's the issue. People are saying, well, I'm going to spend money to generate leads. So where are you going to spend your money? You're going to spend your money on internet leads, Facebook marketing, right? Boosting posts, or whatever the case is. But are you spending money trying to generate new leads? Or are you spending money in the people you already know, bringing value to them so that they can help you build your business? So if you're going to make $1,500 per person, is it worth it for you to make an investment? Yes, the answer is no question. Now, here's an example of a coaching member. They had 180 people in their database. They did 40 transactions from that database. That's a 22% return in the database. The gross revenue of those 40 transactions, and by the way, they did more than 40 transactions. 40 came from the database. The gross revenue was $320,000. They spent $27,000 to receive that. That's what they invested in their database. And that gave them a net of $293,000, which is 1,000% return. Now, do the math. If they had 180 people in their database and they spent $27,000 in their database, how much did they spend per person? $150 per person, but the value of everybody in the database is $1,500. Do you see where I'm going with all this? Now, is this thinking like a business person? Or is this thinking like a salesperson? It's thinking like a business person, because now you're going to make a very strategic investment in advocates so that they bring value back to you because you're bringing value to them. And remember this, in business and life, giving starts the receiving process. Okay, time to move on to step number 5 in the lifetime referral system. And believe me, it's a short one, right? I like to finish with short ones. And here's what it is. Start now. In other words, when do you start making these phone calls? Today is a good time to start. Forget tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to give you a bit of an action plan. I'll give you the assignments I want you to work on between now and the next module. So get ready to write this stuff down. Number 1, you want to build your list, get it into your CRM, and you want to group everybody in your list and have as much information in there on each contact as you possibly can. That's where you want to get started. The second thing, you're going to figure out how many calls are you going to make to your lifetime referral system, as we call the LRS, every single day, and start making those calls and make some today. Go ahead and get started today, everybody. There's nothing better than starting when? Now, okay? And then make the calls every day between now and the next module. And like I said, the secret is the rubber meets the road in taking action. Remember, the secret in life is not knowing what to do, it's doing what we know, so you got to get started. The other thing you might want to consider doing is maybe practice the scripts, okay? Role play them a little bit. Chant the scripts a little bit. Record yourself on a telephone. When you're making these phone calls, maybe set up an iPad and actually record yourself and watch yourself when you're making these phone calls. And then the next thing, you want to record your progress, okay? So track how many calls did you make, how many turned into leads, that sort of thing. And then remember, at a minimum, you need to add 1 advocate per week to your database. And if you just follow that between now and the next module, we're starting to move in the right direction. We're going from where you were to where it is you want to go. We're going to start to build a business that will fully support the life that you want to live. And remember, everybody, it's a beautiful life. Make it count.